away from you. Even though ideally you should just keep them on leash, even if you're e-collar training. Um, it's just nice to have that backup. And it's nice to know that, the better e-collars on the market, they're like waterproof and damage proof, and they come with warranties, and they've got like flashlights and things to track the dog, and all these cool tools to use. And it comes in handy when it really matters. It's kind of that whole thing of like better safe than sorry. Now, I've got some other points, but I think I'm going to split this up into 2 episodes. I don't want to make this too long, and I don't want to bore people. So I'll just go over it quickly here. The similarities between them. You can use both tools to build motivation, and you do that not through corrections, but through leash guidance. You build focus in the same way. With motivation and focus that you're building, I know the dog wants to lay there, but I want you to do this, and so and so. You build accountability and impulse control. And with both tools, you still require training. A lot of people pay a couple $100 for a decent e-collar, and they expect it to do the job, and they're just clicking away. The dog's getting corrected, doesn't understand. And make sure that you still do the foundational work. It's just a training tool. Tools do jobs, and the job is you need to train your dog. Now, the difference is the e-collar has lack of leash pressure. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. It only becomes good when the dog knows what you want. So make sure that you train with leash guidance. When the dog is now held accountable, when the dog is absolutely solid, and I mean solid, on leash, then you start phasing out the leash pressure, because lack of leash guidance, lack of leash presence, really. Number one, it's funny how dogs behave when the leash is on versus not on. As it is, they know, and it's this funny like mental switch that you'll see. So it'll allow you to train them to a higher degree. You can sparse out corrections. That's another difference. The dogs on the prong collar, you can receive, sharp corrections or kind of very low like guidance, but it's kind of hard to give high guidance, because if you're pulling on the leash that hard, you're also bringing the dog in whatever direction you're pulling the leash. So you can give long stem guidance, or long stem corrections on the e-collar, and the e-collar can be really gentle on the dog's neck. So can the prong, especially versus like a regular collar and such. But the e-collar for more sensitive dog necks, that's typically what I use. Spatial work is the other big thing. And I guess the final big thing is that the e-collar kind of has an impersonal feel to it. And what I mean is, if you've got a dog that's very reactive or very transfer aggressive, I've seen trainers work with dogs, and they correct the dog, and when you give the dog the firm leash pop, bang, the dog gets frustrated and lunges at you. And so, of course, if the dog's lunging at you, you got to correct him again, bang, bang, and then it starts this big old fight, and that's not good for the dog. It's not safe for the owner. It's not safe for the dog, frankly, and, it's all this bad stuff, whereas the e-collar is kind of impersonal because there is no leash pop, so I can kind of push the button and plead the fifth. So you kind of allow yourself to play good cop, bad cop. The dog is flailing around or lunging at a dog or whatever, boom, and receives a sharp correction, and then he turns around to see what that was, and you can kind of play the fool, like, oh, I don't know, well, why don't you come over here where that doesn't happen? Or you can sparse out that correction. I push the button at a high level and I'm holding, and the dog breaks focus with that other dog, so I turn down, but the correction's still there. And while the e-collar is still doing its thing at a lower level, with the leash, I gently pull the dog in, and the closer he gets to me, the lower the numbers get until the button comes off altogether. And the dog associates, but he at the same time has a hard time understanding that it was me that did it. And so that's a good thing to keep in mind. When you're working with the e-collar, you can kind of be impersonal with it. And when you have either more nervous dogs or more jumpy, aggressive dogs, that I've seen it definitely come in handy versus the prong. Thanks for listening, guys. Again, my name is Mariano. This is Happy Pups Training, Happy Pups Podcast. If you have any questions or if you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, if I missed anything, please email me at happypupstraining@gmail.com, all one word. You can also find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of it's Happy Pups Training. If you have any feedback, that'd be appreciated. Thanks for listening again. I will make another one of these pretty soon. Thanks.